Okay, I got a comment the other day on a 6L80 rebuild about the Stator gasket that comes in the kits, and that when you put this Stator on, this gasket here, when you put this Stator on, that you're supposed to preload the Stator, and that is true. At the time I made those videos, everybody said, in fact GM does not have any specs for it. It tells you not to pull that Stator out of there. It's only serviced as a complete deal. So there's no torque specs on it, and there's no procedure for it. There's no bolt tightening sequence for it. There's nothing for it. And at the seminars they would tell you not to pull that Stator out, and they didn't specify why. They just said don't do it. Well, there's that gasket that's in there, and those gaskets were blowing out. Then they came out and they said, okay, go ahead and replace that gasket. The gaskets were still blowing out, and they're made out of paper. So Transtech came out and made the rubber coated steel ones, and those were stopping the blowing out. Some kits still had the paper one in there, and they were still blowing out. They since found out that that Stator, if not all of them, but a lot of them, if you don't preload it, it will turn when it applies. Or when you crank the engine up, it'll turn it. And if you know, there's a video I have out of one that immediately did that to me, and that's why it did that. But I think it was last year they finally came out and they said you need to preload that Stator, and you need to preload it in a clockwise direction. There's a couple different ways you can do that, or there's more, a couple ways probably, but one of the biggest deals is to get the sun gear that splines onto here, and you can take an extra one of those, weld you a handle onto it, and use that to torque it down. I just use my big pair of channel locks, and it's better if you have two people. But the reason this came up is because I had that comment on my channel, and I just got a new kit. It may have been in there for a while, I don't know, but they quit putting the steel gaskets back in the kits, and they started putting the paper gaskets back in there because they're having supply chain issues. But they said that there's also going to be a new updated gasket that's going to supersede the rubber coated gasket, so there's fixing to be a third style gasket that's coming out in the Transtech kits. So you need to be aware of that. Like I said, there's no torque specs for these bolts. There's no tightening sequence. I just go in a star pattern like most of them normally do. Go ahead and lube up your O-ring so you don't mess up your O-ring, and put your Stator down in there and put your bolts in. And I'm going to go ahead and go press this down once I get my bolts started so that it keeps it lined up. Once I press this down, then we'll torque it. Okay, so like I said, it's better to get two people. I just get my channel locks on here. Try not to slip around on the splines. Get it back here where you get a good purchase on it. Grab your bell housing. Get you some pretty good torque on there. Now, since I've been doing this, I have only felt one of them move. So I don't think it's a super common deal, but it only takes one time and then you're screwed. So you put these bolts into a torque calculator. It comes out to 107 inch-pounds. So that's what I've been torquing them to. So I just go in a star pattern, and start here, go over here, go here, go here, go here, and go here. and you should be good to go. But be aware that you do need to load torque these in a clockwise direction. So I guess that's it for this video. We'll see you on the next one.